What's going on? I'm Brinton Woodall.
I'm Chrissy Whyte.
And this is Writer to Writer. We're going to talk about different writing styles and disciplines of arts. So, Chrissy.
Brinton.
A good childhood friend of mine as well. What do you do?
I am a rapper and I'm a songwriter.
Dope. I'm an author, screenwriter, and a producer. So I guess my first question is, when you wake up, like, what's your process throughout the day if you know you got to write for the day?
My process, usually when I wake up, I think that's the best time for me to start my writing. I try to do most of my writing in the morning time because I'm fresh from waking up, I'm well rested, and it's easier for me to get my thoughts out when I first wake up versus like going throughout the day and trying to write like at the end of the night when I'm exhausted already.
Yeah.
So I usually write most of my music in the morning time.
And what's your windows of time? When what's waking up for you, like 7, 6:30?
So if I know that I have a studio session that day, I'll usually wake up about like 7, 8 o'clock and try to write as much music as I possibly can. Or even if I have material that's already written, I'll try to basically rehearse it and figure out my flow of how I want to word certain things, because the biggest thing with my music is when I'm recording it, I want it to sound a certain way. So even if I'm not writing that morning, I'm just basically rehearsing it and figuring out how I want certain words to sound and things of that nature. So
I love listening to your music because you got a lot to say.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're dope with it.
I think what you said as far as like, I watched your interview where you were saying how it's about being devoted and working for yourself. I think that's really, really important because I had to learn that as I got older. Like, if I want to be a rapper, if I want to be successful, then I have to do it on my own.
Yeah, I think you learned it the same way I probably learned it. You didn't realize it from like your pops, right?
Yeah.
Because when I hear your music, I hear a lot of your pops.
And
how much he meant to you of the way he would wake up and grind. And I saw the same thing with my pops. So it's like me just trying to emulate that just in what I want to do for him.
Exactly. My dad is such an amazing person and he works so hard. And
I could tell because in the song Mansions, that's like the first 4 bars.
That was actually one of my first solo video.
That Mansion the Woods is fire. My own cousin, this is a lyric of yours that I really enjoyed. It said, my own cousin played my pops fresh off the boat. Me knowing you, I know you're talking about Cuba and him coming to the States. So like that whole dynamic of even your loved ones ain't always your friend.
No, definitely not.
For you.
And it's sad because you have to realize that as you continue to grow in life. But my dad came from Cuba, and he came from Cuba with basically nothing.
Right.
And he had a few cousins in the Bronx area. And when my dad came, he had to stop in Florida first. And I don't know the entire story, but I know that basically as my dad progressed in the States, he didn't have a lot of their support the way he thought it would be or imagined it. And it was really tough on him. And he doesn't really talk about it much, but just the small stories that we do get is like, wow, you can have family and family will be your support system.
That's so funny because my pops is the same exact way. Like, he had a lot of, I guess, trauma that I would never know about because he don't display it to us, or he never told us, but you see it in just the way he carries himself. Like, when I hear your bars, I hear a certain level of integrity that you have when you write and in your writing, and I know that comes from you got to see it in somebody to have that type of level of integrity. So.
Definitely. As far as like my parents goes and my siblings, there's a lot of like, I witness a lot of strength on a regular basis, and it basically makes me feel like I have to be strong and always like fight through the different challenges. I think that's the one thing that I really admire about my dad is that he fought through challenges and he never let an obstacle make him feel defeated or discouraged. Like, my dad, he doesn't take no for an answer, and I think that's just something that I highly respect.
Right.
And I love it.
That's dope. Where do you feel like you get your creative process from? To me, out of my parents, my mom's the more creative one, so if I had to pick a side of the family, I would say probably her side. But my dad loved English for some reason growing up, so.
I'm going to say definitely my dad. Simply because growing up, my dad always had like music playing, and it was always like Spanish music, so it was always like salsa, like rumba.
What,
and, like,
Saturday mornings to clean up type?
Yeah.
Same here.
And he played like the congos and things of that nature, and like the maracas and the congos. It's like the sticks where like you make the different things, and he was constantly trying to teach us how to like he basically like tried to teach us like the structure of the beat or the rhythm that you're gonna
measures,
and like what it takes to make it sound a certain way.
Yeah.
And I don't know, growing up, and then my brothers, my older brother, H. Billy, he was really big on music. He's like the older brother who knew about all the new rap songs and all the new rappers, and he had it in his mind since young that he was gonna like make music, and he kind of like when
did he force you into it? Or
definitely not. I think we all have an admiration of music growing up in the Bronx, and being that that's where the Bronx music like rap
hip-hop came from.
Hip hop came from. It just we all have like that fascination of like songs and music and what it makes you feel like, and I think that plays a big part.
I think listening to a lot of your music, I just love the messaging you give to women. Because if I had a daughter, I would want her to listen to your music before like everything else that could pollute her mind. Because you say a lot of deep, provoking stuff that, as a man, I don't know what a woman will go through. But like hearing your lyrics is like, damn, that's a lot to go through.
I appreciate that. I think I use music as a therapeutic, artistic way of releasing my everyday emotions, whether I'm happy or excited or sad. I think it's a great way to channel your energy and like basically.
Yeah, because one of the songs that I love from you is I think it's called Goodbye.
Goodbye Asshole.
Yeah. So with that song, you said some like lyrics that made me think like, men are so lame, and like some of the bars you put in there was just very talking about, I guess, a prior experience, and when you say what you call two wrongs, the motherfucking drawer, so you're pointing out your flaw in the situation, but I'm still talking about your ass though. So like, I just appreciate the authenticity and stuff in that lyric.
I appreciate that. That's that song was a song that I wrote. Really, it was a really fast song, and it was like probably like I wrote that song in probably like 20 minutes.
I felt like it had to be because it sounded like it came from the heart.
It had like no hook, and I like wrote it as fast. Like what I was feeling came out instantly, and it was like 20 minutes writing process.
People switch up like the weather behind you. It sounds simple, but to me it's such a deep, provoking line if you really think of just like the certain nuances you could think about that.
Definitely.
Because like when you go forward in life, the seasons do change into something else. So if you look behind you, that was winter, now we're in spring type. So
I actually got that line from one of my friends. She said it to me, and it like blew my mind. She was like, people switch up like the weather, and like I feel like it's a cliche. Like you can hear it from a lot of different places, but when she said it, it
resonated with you.
Yeah, it definitely resonated.
Yeah. I took them bills, but they technically mine. I was like, ooh, she's scamming all that. She's getting it. Make a money. Take it.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, although you're telling a story, it's like, it sounds very simple, but I think putting one bar with the next bar isn't as easy as people think than having a flow pattern. And I think that's a certain level of writing that is, it's like poetry on steroids to me, hip hop. Because like, not only are you just saying things to maybe rhyme, but you got to say it to a certain beat, a certain way for it to affect people the way you want it.
I completely agree. Especially, I want to be able to relate to people in a certain way and have them relate to me the same.
Yeah. So
when I'm writing, I tend to say like change words, so like different slangs depending on what the song is about, and I try to find a way to say certain lines in a certain way that it can be easy for someone to relate to or understand. So that's a big thing.
If I had to relate, you're writing to like an author, it would be like a Hemingway with a little bit more floral in it. And the reason I say that is because Hemingway writes very direct and very simple. So like that's how I would like relate. Like if it was like a book, if you wrote a book like in a rap format, like you're like very direct and to the point with your bars, but like they're poignant and like where they could relate to a lot of people.
Thank you. I think that I had to work my way to that as well, because when I first started writing, it was very like emotional, and I would like be all over the place. And a lot of the time when I would listen to, when I first started making videos and started putting my music out to the public, I wondered why I wasn't getting the views that I wanted. And it's because everyone doesn't understand what you're saying or how you're saying it. And when I wanted to figure out how to be more successful in getting views on my music videos and things of that nature, I had to learn how to like do certain things like that.
Do you have any questions for me?
I have a lot of questions for you. So you are such a creative person. I was listening to the different books that you have written,
Right.
The dreamer boy who caught 22.
Yeah.
And the cancer.
Cancer in the lottery. Yeah.
And these ideas are amazing, and these are different things that is like, wow, like, how can someone come up with such an amazing idea? And I want to know, like, what's your process like? What I really like as far as when I'm going to write a song, I'll like do the little bubble thing that they taught us in school.
Yeah, like and, the pros, cons, and then the middle.
To brainstorm.
Yeah.
How do you come up with your different ideas to write your books?
All right, I'm gonna let you in on a secret, and I guess the rest of the world now. I pick one album of like whatever the storyteller, and I'll play that for like maybe 3 days straight before I go into writing. So I try to listen to music to take me away from writing. Here's something that they say that resonate with me, and like maybe that could be like the title of a chapter, and then I'll write a chapter within that. And like for you, since you're like a rapper, I could imagine maybe you want to like watch a movie or like something with different art, just to zone you out. You might catch that one line, or like I remember in one of your songs you talked about A Bronx Tale, which is one of my favorite movies. So it's like you get little things just by not paying attention to your art, but like appreciating someone else's art. Definitely. And then from that helps me zone into my process of knocking stuff out.
So you said you pick an album.
Yeah, and I listen to it all.
So like, how would you go about picking that album as well?
It depends on the artist. I think for the Dreamer, I was listening to Big Sean heavy. Mm-hmm. And like, cause he always talks about manifestation, and I knew that's something important. So it's like, how can I resonated so much with his second album, Hall of Fame.
Great album.
That and Dark Sky Paradise and stuff like that. So that kind of helped me know, like, all right, like I'm not crazy for going for this dream, even though I don't see where it's going. So that's how the Dreamer came about with that. And then like for Cancer in the Lottery, I would listen to maybe what I listen to for Cancer in the Lottery. I think I was just listening to a lot of different just sad music just to get me into the zone of writing from like a female's perspective of knowing that she doesn't have much time to live. So I would listen to like Mary J. Blige and things like that.
I can imagine that when you're writing.
Do you listen to like, do you watch or like listen to or read anything before you like maybe get into your zone of writing?
Honestly, what I tend to do, I definitely like think that movies and different artistic forms help with my writing. Right. But what I do when I'm about to write and get in my zone, I listen to like DMX or like like hardcore, because that's what I like. Like I like hardcore like lyrical music, so I listen to like DMX, Tupac, Biggie, Illmatic, Nas, and try to like compete. Like, and then also what I do when I'm gonna write is I try to imagine myself as someone else. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, I like my recent person that I'm imitating is like a Loaded Lux, like battle rap, and I think that will help me with my punchlines. So I tend to like put myself in somebody else's shoes.
So you try to garner the energy of somebody before you go into your form.
Definitely.
Got it.
I can imagine that when you're writing your books, a lot of it relates to like your personal experiences, and
people would be surprised. It's only like maybe my first book because I didn't know where to draw from, but after that you just listen to a lot of people and you'd be surprised how many stories you can make up off of like maybe one conversation with somebody.
So when you were writing your first book, because when I write a lot of music, sometimes it brings like a lot of different emotions out of me, and I can be like writing the song like Goodbye Asshole and really feeling like I guess a certain type of way about something, and those emotions, do you ever get emotional when you're writing books?
I do if it's close to the heart, but like sometimes I don't write so close to the heart because it's a scary thing to write in such a vulnerable space. So it depends on what I'm writing and if I've lived those experiences. So
with all the different success that you've had in writing books, because you have like multiple different books that you have finished and accomplished and published, and you have like hardcovers of, what is that feeling like after you have your book in your hand? Because I know after I finish a song and I hear it, it's like I worked on that.
It's a certain level of, I think there's 3 different phases. It's like finishing your first draft of the whole book that makes you feel like, wow, it's done, at least right now. Taking it to an editor, then seeing it in print format and then rereading it again, I think it's a euphoric feeling that you only get but so many times. But I feel like that's why I'm so jealous of like musicians, because like after 4 minutes you get to say, I'm done, I'm completed, I finished something. It takes me maybe a month to say, yo, I might have finished something. So I think it's super dope that although it's all writing, it's all relative on how you feel on those moments of euphoric feeling. Yeah.
I think that the thing about it though is that someone can write a 4-minute song, but when you're writing an album or mixtape or it's so many songs that don't make the cut, and you have to write songs that are going to be able to be hits, or that are great songs. Because so many people, you don't want to listen to bad music. So many people.
So is that your writing process? Let me pick 40 beats and write 40 songs? Because that's a lot. To me, it's why not pick the 12 beats you love that you know that will make it, and just take your time writing those 12 songs?
I think what my brothers taught me, especially my older brother, who H. Billy, who basically records me when I'm going to record, just because I imagine that a song is going to sound a certain way, when I actually record it, it doesn't sound that way. So it possibly won't sound that way. So I definitely, when I have a mixtape coming out right now. So for example,
what's the name of it?
It's G.I. Jane.
You got a release date? I mean, I'm sure, yeah.
It's going to be coming out very, very soon, probably in a week or so. I'm working on it. But the reason why I don't have a date is because certain songs that I did imagine were going to come out amazing, I didn't either like the way it sounded, or it's just different things that you have to tweak. So it doesn't matter that you have a 4-minute song, because that 4-minute song can take even a month to write, 2 weeks to write. It takes a long time to write. And there's a lot of throwaways when you're creating an album or a big project. When you're writing a book, you're writing an entire book. You get time to go back and edit it, and you get to take your time. So
true.
Just because a song only lasts for 4 minutes, it's a lot that goes into the process of writing that song. Because writer's block.
True.
Fighting through writer's block has been my biggest thing. So, also not just writer's block, but having so many different thoughts and so many different things that I want to put on a song, and finding a way to structure it so that it can go accordingly is not as simple as it sounds.
Okay. I can see that now. Thank you for explaining that, because to me, I guess just looking back and listening, it's 4 minutes, and you could probably feel completed as an artist in that moment, but
and
I guess not.
I'm a perfectionist, so I can imagine that when you're writing your books you want it to go a certain way. You want it to flow a certain way. You want it to sound a certain way. You want to be able to hit a certain emotional core when you're writing that book and make people feel a certain type of way. And it's the same with me. I'm a perfectionist. It's so long that I've been writing. I've been doing music since I was super young. And I'm a perfectionist. And if it doesn't sound right, it was so long that I wasn't releasing music and nobody was hearing from Chrissy Whyte. After I did my first music video, which was Chuck song with my brother Ishmeezy and my brother H. Billy, I didn't feel like I felt like I had to keep up. Every time I do a song, I feel like I want to super exceed the success that I have with that song. And if it doesn't go accordingly, I won't. But also, I have to get past that. So, do you ever feel have you ever written books or written a certain part of your book and then scrapped that entire?
No.
No.
Because I'm fighting my way through it. If I don't like it, somebody else out there might. So I don't want to take away from them maybe enjoying it. Just because I didn't like it, that's just me, because I'm trying to read it as a fan now after I wrote it.
Yeah.
So I don't scrap it. I might alter a few paragraphs to change the narrative, the rest of the story, or change the tone. But I try very hard not to scrap anything unless it's pure garbage.
What are your favorite books? Do you have any, when you're gonna write a book?
Yeah. Do
you read books or tons of books?
No, because I'm afraid it might influence me. But I do have favorites. A lot of them are from high school, August Wilson, Fences. Denzel actually did a movie. It's the same premise pretty much. What else? Mitch Albom, Tuesdays with Maury. What else is there? I feel like there's a few more. I forget the author's name, but a book called 12 Angry Men, I think is a great book.
You started writing in college. That's when you found your passion for college?
I found it actually after college.
Wow.
So 2 years after college, I started pursuing writing. So
what made you pursue it? What was the experience? What was the moment that made you feel like this was
It just felt like somebody was telling me you could do it in my spirit, and I just follow it, and I continue to follow it when I get down. I just always get a moment of no, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I just stick to it.
So you've spoken at different schools with different.
I spoke to different classes and stuff. which is always a great feeling that I think I need to appreciate a little more when they do come, because that's not always guaranteed. So
I wish there was so much more of that, because I guess when I was in school, we didn't have a lot of those different things where like people come and, or someone you can relate, because going to high school, you're not far from them, you know, and they're looking at you, and I'm pretty sure it was like in your area or something where kids is like, wow, he's doing this.
Well, a lot of schools gotta follow, you know, structures and rule breaks of how to like make kids pass the regents and stuff. So it is what it is as far as that goes. What do you want out of like every time you sit down to write? Like, what would make you feel satisfied after you're done writing for the day?
Every day I'm pushing myself to write more music. I feel like, especially in this career where like there's so much to work, especially being a female in the rap game, I feel like I have so much that I want to push myself to do as far as like my punchlines and being able to do more like bounce songs or dance songs and pop songs and things of that nature. So when I sit down and write, I want to be able to say I wrote as much music as I could today, because every night I'll go to sleep, I'll write 3, 4, 5 songs, and it seems like it's cool, but I know that I could have pushed myself to write more music, and that's what I want. I want to be able to sit down and say, balancing work and being a mom and doing whatever it is that I need to do, that I wrote as much music as I felt I possibly could that day.
So what are your 5 lyricists? And I guess I'll end with that. As far as like their stories or whatever, like.
You talking about like my favorite top 5 rappers?
Not, it don't have to be necessarily your 5 favorite rappers, because you might like somebody that's not necessarily a lyricist. But who are 3 that you'd be like, no, like I love how they write and their flows with stuff?
3, definitely DMX. DMX is probably like my top. He's the one who I relate to the most. Every time he says something, I make that ugly face. So I love music, and there's so many different musicians and artists that I would have to say DMX, Big Pun definitely.
Yeah.
And I really like NF, G-Eazy, and like Machine Gun Kelly type of people. That's what I listen to in my
Machine Gun Kelly, I think he don't get enough credit, but he's dope.
NF, he's a new up and coming rapper as well, and he is amazing. He has an album that he actually named Mansions, and that's what I was listening to before I wrote the song Mansions, and that's why I named it Mansions. But yeah, and definitely, you know, Nas has a big influence on my music.
Yeah, that's one of my 3. Nas, I would say, just this year alone, just Nipsey album was very motivational, just getting up and just sticking to, you know, your process, whatever that might be.
I mean, I think for me, it's also harder because I'm a female, and we didn't have...
I used to be a Remy head, I ain't gonna front.
And that's what I was gonna say. We don't have females. There's not a lot of female artists out there as far as that are rapping, you know. So, but what made me pick up a pen and want to write was after the Something About Remy came out, and I was actually we was at the CD store, and we bought the album.
We went past the Grand Concourse to get that album. You're right.
And she made me feel like I can do that, and I think that I would be, you know, I could do that, and I started writing, and I was really young when it came out, but she was who I related to first, and...
That's dope, man. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
For, having this great convo with me.
I appreciate you having me. It's always dope to share our thoughts, artist to artist, writer to writer. So, G.I. Jane coming out soon. Make sure you stay on the lookout for that. It will be out really, really soon. My new music video is coming out, Cash Out. Shot, edited, produced by H. Billy, and
my book Taylor in Heaven, February 4th. Go check that out. Links to the book will be below.
So talk to y'all another time.